Punish your thought, but not their violent crimes.
To the neighbor, I don't even know the guy. I knocked on the door, the guy came to the door, had a full medical mask on. If you have a medical mask on and you answer the door, that's gotta be the first thing out of your mouth, okay? Why you got this damn thing on? I come to my door with a medical mask, I take it down. Listen, doing some painting in the garage gets into my lungs. That's why I got the mask. This guy nothing on the mask. Started talking through the mask. He's like, what's going on? I go, no. What's going on in here? I just bought the joint next door. Do I gotta put it up for sale? Why the hell do you got a medical mask on a Monday morning? Okay? Let's get into that. I'm gonna send Julio in your yard. Is he gonna come out with no head? What are you doing with the mask?
Don't you understand, you dumb son of a bitch? Don't you understand?
Joe!
All right, how you doing, my brother?
Everything good?
Everything's great, man.
All right.
Great day.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go to the park for a little while after this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hopefully they got the hoops up again. Took the hoops down. They took the whole thing down.
They put them back up.
I don't know.
Well, I know the one on MIN.THE by the school there. I saw those.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like right by the pharmacy. They put those out.
Okay.
I don't know about everywhere else.
I'll check that out. Yeah, over here they're down, and a couple other places they just took them down, but then, you know, to get them to put it back up is another story.
That's the top. Yep. Yeah, this.
Can you stamp that out both sides?
Do we have a next day box bigger than this?
For priority?
No, for next day.
I mean, express, no. So if you can use a regular brown box.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, and then have to go next day. It's going to be heavy.
You can say 1 week, it's okay.
I know, it's good. I'm going to tell her what she needs to do, so.
You already bought the envelope?
Yes.
Alright. We got to change, right?
Nothing liquid, fragile, perishable, hazardous?
No.
See you next week. I think you're in early, right? That's right, you're going to be here Monday. That's right.
Let's say 15 by 12 by 10.
They're in the back, Max. What are you looking for?
Like 12 by 20.
Yep, they're in one of the hampers in the back. Behind those pages, you'll see the different sizes. Oh, yeah. I'll take care of that. Yes, I will.
Alright, so you want me to hang this?
Okay.
That's supposed to get moved?
No. So let me, excuse me 1 second.
No problem.
Yes. All right, so I'll just keep this and I'll fill it out.
All right.
And send it out. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll show you next time.
Okay.
All right.
I have both of them.
So it's going to be $21.50. Anything else today?
No, I have the 50 cents.
Okay, $40.50.
Next time you come in, have a mask next time you come in for me.
Oh, we could talk. I could talk to you on the side about that.
Okay. All
Just
right.
so I can meet you over there. If you
All
like.
right. Let me just grab her about this young lady here. She's the one to go parcel select. If she tries it cheaper, we can do that. All right.
Okay.
1 second, let me grab her.
Okay.
No, what's that? What's that one? Garlic stamp? That's okay. Give me that. Thank you again for your help.
When you're wearing a face mask, the thing guys about the face mask is that when you're wearing a face mask, you're actually decreasing the flow of oxygen into your mouth. We're a species that we're actually a physiological system that's dependent upon oxygen. Plants depend on carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out. Plants breathe out oxygen, which is what we breathe in. Well, when you've got a mask on, you're restricting the flow of oxygen. And when you're restricting the flow of oxygen, that causes stress in the body because you're not getting enough oxygen. You almost have to fight for air. Well, that drives your cortisol levels up, which is the stress hormone, and that increases the sympathetic tone in the body, or the flight-fight response, and it also suppresses the immune system, because when you have increase in cortisol, increase in steroids, you have a decrease in the immune system, and of course we want the immune system to be peak if we're concerned about any type of an opportunistic illness. On top of that, you'll hear tonight on part 6, I'm not sure in which part it'll be, whether it's tonight's part or tomorrow's part, or whichever part you'll hear. There's 4 parts. You'll hear Dr. Mikowitz talk about what happens when you restrict the airway by having a mask over it. So you're again creating more stress. And remember that viruses are particles of DNA and RNA that exist inside our cells. So during a period of stress, during a period of toxicological onslaught, during a period of any type of significant physiological change, when the body is stressed, you'll have a release of these viruses, very similar to exosomes, which Dr. Kaufman's talking about. So essentially, some of us think that they're one and the same, but essentially you have an increase in the viral shedding, if you will, for lack of a better term. You have an increase in the viral release in your system when your body's stressed. So now you're walking around with a mask on, you're actually going to increase the yield of the viral components that are being released from the cell because you're being stressed, because you're wearing.
All right. No, I just wanted to know if that was law or not.
So basically, from what I understand, you're very
Then the third thing is that you've already heard what people have talked about: keep your hands away from your face, keep your hands away from your mouth. Well, now just think, you're wearing this mask, it's irritating, you're sweating, people are going to be adjusting the mask and touching your face, so that's another issue. And I want you to be aware that there are already people that have had accidents due to having what they call syncopal episodes, basically passing out because of lack of oxygen from the mask. There have been a number of documented accidents like that, and I believe even a fatality or two because of a person wearing a mask. So the recommendation of actually using a mask is detrimental, right? It's detrimental.
No, I just wanted to know if that was law or not.
So basically, from what I understand, okay, because I know you're very intelligent.
I research everything.
Intelligent.
I research everything.
Exactly.
And I know the law.
It wasn't
And if I don't know the law, I know exactly where to look it up.
mandated, they said required. Okay? So I wouldn't say it's a law, but
It's not a law.
exactly.
It's
why
a
I said
policy.
required.
I understand people's fear,
Right.
you know. I also understand that the fear is unfounded. Okay? It's scientifically unfounded. It's medically unfounded. And it's also even by our own officials. It's more of a feel-good type of thing. Okay? Doesn't do anything scientifically. When you use a mask, first of all, a mask is not required. It's a face covering. Okay? It's a different, right? No, it's important because somebody might say you have a handkerchief or a rag over your face. It's not good enough. According to the rules, it's a face covering. Masks are supposed to be used in a certain way. Okay? You're not supposed to be wearing a mask all day long, the same mask. You're not supposed to be touching it on the outside. When you remove it, you're supposed to remove it from the inside. And it's supposed to be disposed in a certain manner as well too. Okay? That's in a sterile environment. Okay? It's designed for sterile environments. It's designed for if the person is sick. If you're sick, it prevents you from spraying mucus droplets.
I did research.
Right. It's really designed for that. You know, someone sneezes or whatever. But it really doesn't even prevent you from getting a virus. The virus is a lot smaller than you see that mask that you have on. It penetrates that easily. That's scientific. That's studies. I have the studies. You know why? I had to do it in the last week. No, I'm just, cordial, you know what I mean?
No, you've never been aggressive with me. You've always been.
Never. I take care of business. I'm a stand-up person. I respect people's rights, but I'll share something personal with you. There's some people that cannot wear masks. In the law here, it's not a law. It's an order. People don't know that there's a difference between policies, rules, orders, and the law. See, there's a difference, right? But regulations and policies are usually meant for the employees of that corporation. See what I'm saying? Because there is an order or policy for you to follow, it doesn't mean that it trumps my rights. See what I'm saying? A policy of another corporation doesn't trump my rights. Here still, regardless of a minor emergency that only about maybe 700 people have died in the state of Rhode Island, you can no way in any manner, by definition, classify it as a pandemic, but let's give it to them. There's a pandemic going on. By the numbers, there's no pandemic going on. That can be debated or whatever. Right, but we also have to differentiate between law, rights, and propaganda, and news, and false information, and political acts. You see what I'm saying? So we have to differentiate. So rights here have not been canceled. We're not under any martial law where rights have been canceled, and we have, that hasn't happened. Anything that I have to be required by law to follow and punishable has to be set out by legislative. And even then, as a civilian, as a citizen, or whatever you might want to call it, I have a right to challenge it. Now the problem is this. I've been already had the cops called on me 4 times. I've been threatened because I cannot wear, there's some people that cannot wear a mask. Medically, they cannot wear it. I take that exemption. No, I have never worn a face covering since the declare of emergency, which actually the third by an executive order to wear a mask was April 14th. And it went into effect April 18th. On April 16th, I was already getting kicked out and threatened with police. On 16th, 2 days prior to even something going into effect. See what I'm saying? I've been through stress. I'm letting you, I guarantee I'll let you speak. I just want to get my thoughts out clear so that maybe we can gain an understanding here, right? That there's some people that medically, they cannot wear a mask. It's harmful for their health, and actually, scientifically, wearing masks for prolonged times, especially workers, that could be detrimental to your health. Why? Because when you are breathing out, you're not supposed to breathe out your own exhaust. It's like a car, right? You're breathing out a certain amount of air. You're not supposed to be rebreathing. If you were sick, you're rebreathing the same viruses and things that you're shedding. You're rebreathing it back into your body. So it's actually that masks are detrimental to your health.
Right. Remember that. You also brought up a good fact about the important fact about face coverings. But I'm not saying that I'm requiring you to wear it the same for us. I'm just saying once you're into the establishment, you know, to just
I understand.
cover and then
I understand what you're saying. But there's some people.
I had a guy just a minute ago went off because I did this. And he's going off in my lap. Oh, you're threatening. Take care, buddy.
Yeah, but that's misinformation.
What I'm saying is they're just.
I know.
So
I understand. I totally get the environment. I totally get that everybody wants to be peaceful. But I say this. Right, no problem. No problem.
Hello? 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 What's up? So you outside? Okay. It's 99, so if you pull right up at 99, you see it on your right. It says no parking in front of it. All right, did you come down? Where are you right now? That's fine. That's fine. Stay right there. I'll be right there. That's fine. I'll be right there. Okay. I have to go.
I understand. I'll just leave it off at this. I understand that people have their certain uncomfortable, but this is a recommendation, see, by CDC. And when you go onto their website, they actually tell you that you're not required to wear a mask unless you're sick and unless you're taking care of patients that are specifically sorry. Oh,
And I understand that when you make people uncomfortable, they get anxiety.
yeah, but it's not law, man.
You know,
I understand. Well, you can leave. You can leave if you're very anxious. If you're very anxious, you can leave. I get anxious when people call the cops on me. I get anxious when people refuse service when I have to do. See? Do you see what I'm saying? That it's a very touchy thing.
Right, I understand your point.
And it's unfounded, and it's a mental illness. Seriously, it's a mental illness.
You got it. Very good points to me about medical and so on and so forth. If you have a medical condition,
Absolutely, that has to be respected.
right, but at the same time, I'm just asking if you can.
Can you hold your breath more than 1 minute?
Say that again?
Can you hold your breath more than 1 minute?
Me, I don't even know.
Right. Most people can't.
Swimming is like,
Mo-
I've done it in a while.
Right, most people can't.
Yep.
Sometimes you're standing here in the post office longer than 1 minute.
Yeah, she's there, I know.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be detrimental. If I have an accident here because I'm wearing a mask, guess who's liable? Right? So I just want to leave it clear, and we're, no animosity, no anything. I do business all the time. If I come in here without a mask, will I be refused service? Okay. Okay. Thank you. I thank you for respecting the rights. Thank you.
And in part 6, I talked about a few other things too, but I wanted to bring this up during Christina's interview, and I'll just say this last thing about a mask. When a surgeon wears a mask or a nurse wears a mask in a surgical suite when they're doing an operation, they're doing a hernia repair, they're doing a coronary artery bypass surgery, or they're doing a hernia repair, or whatever they're doing. Why is the surgeon, why are the nurses wearing masks? Is it because they're afraid that they're going to get something and catch something contagious when they're doing the hernia operation, the hernia repair? No, it's so that the surgeon, if he's drooling or spitting or coughing or sneezing, he doesn't sneeze or cough or spit or drool into the surgical field, into the sterile field. That's why we wear the mask, to protect the sterility of the surgical field. So we're not doing it because we're trying to protect ourselves. We're doing it so that we protect the other party. In the Far East, when people wear the mask, there's a lot of places, China, Korea, Japan, that they wear a mask. They're not wearing a mask because they're afraid that they're going to catch something from someone. They're wearing a mask when they're sick so that they don't give somebody what they're carrying potentially. So again, the mask is designed to prevent us from creating a problem for other people if we're feeling ill, or if we're in a situation where we can't drool or spit or cough or sneeze or something else into an area that could basically expose somebody else to what we're carrying. Now, what are we doing here? We're telling everybody to wear a mask, which is increasing steroid, the cortisol levels in the body, increasing stress, decreasing the airflow, causing an increase in release in the viral load that's being released within our system from the cells, because remember, viruses are inside the cells, and we're doing it all under the pretense of protecting yourselves, whereas in fact masks are designed to protect the other party. So it's the most ludicrous thing, and the misinformation to tell you to wear a mask is actually creating a greater issue, a greater suppression of your immune system, which would render you more susceptible to any type of opportunistic pathogen, virus, bacteria, whatever the case may be. So I just wanted you to know that. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy Saturday night, and I appreciate you being with us, and as you wish your Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. So I appreciate you guys, and we will see you soon.
I just need a book of stamps, 3 cents if you have.
A book of the 3 cents?
Yeah.
Yo tenía que pedir esa cosa. Están afuera también, amor.
And I just need these canceled out, and it's ready to go.
Oh, así mismo es Pony.
How are you today?
Good.
Good to see you, my brother.
Remember me, you have a conversation.
Yeah, you want to have another one?
No, I'm just saying, I asked you, and you said to me, the face covering situation, and you still didn't do it.
No, sir. We had an agreement, but allow me to finish, and then we can have a side conversation, which is what you want to do.
Got 2 minutes, lady.
This is federal jurisdiction. Correct? I'm in federal jurisdiction, correct?
In this building?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a federal.
It's federal jurisdiction.
It's considered, even though we're
Right.
not. It's like we are, we're not.
No, we are. We definitely are in federal jurisdiction. I just want everybody to know and be aware that we are in federal jurisdiction, and medical rights have not been suspended. And the Constitution hasn't been suspended either. Rights are still in effect. Oh, and we're not under martial law.
Cancel your stamp on that.
On this, oh yeah, I really appreciate it. Oh yes, on that one.
And then this one's all set to close off, right?
Right. That is correct. And this is part of that one. No. Yep, no problem. Yeah. No problem. Okay. Yeah, just, you can do just the front one and flip it over in the back. That's all that's necessary. And just,
Oh, the whole.
no, just right there. And that's fine. And then this is ready to go. All I have to do is just fold it up. Stuff it in.
One separate feedback, right? Alright, that works.
Oh, those don't have the. They should make them like that now. Cause
This one doesn't have the zip code.
I was gonna ask you about that, and I totally forgot because I didn't bring it on me, and I totally forgot to ask you the zip code.
No matching zip code found.
Allen, Texas. That's where I always send it to Allen. I've had that happen to me before. Can you try it again? If not, I can look it up. Sorry about that. I don't have it. Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You're always professional. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm just checking my my box here. As you can see, I have a box, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, I'm not, I know you're a very smart guy. I'm not going to.
No, it has nothing to do with being smart at all.
My thing is this, right?
It has to do with following the law. It has nothing to do with being smart at all.
Here's the thing, right?
I don't like condescending conversations. I thought we were very clear on the last time that we were here. I specifically asked you as you was walking away, if you can remember correctly, you were waiting on somebody, somebody was waiting on you. And I specifically asked you, we left the conversation off, if I were to come here without a face covering, will I be refused service? You said no. I thought that was the end of it.
But you didn't say to me from now on, you're coming here without.
No, we had an understanding. No, I didn't ask you. No, hold on.
Yeah, I approached you, so let me just get my point through.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
no. Before we move, no, hold on. Before we move on, hold on. Are you gonna? No, I don't want to go through this.
See, this is
No, I don't want to go through this. I want to stand up for my rights. I'm a veteran. These are recommendations. Nothing is the law. I checked out your federal regulations. Sir, you will understand that you have to respect my rights. I fought for people's rights. You are violating medical rights. Medical rights. This is a medical issue, sir.
I'm asking you a question.
What is your name?
What did I say to you?
Can you please just say your name?
Stop changing the question.
Can you just, so
saying
I know who I'm speaking to, so I know how to refer to
What I'm
you.
saying to you, supervisor.
Supervisor
Yes,
who?
I'm the supervisor of all
You know I can, okay, you know I can find that out, right? So why can't you just be cordial and identify
Why
yourself?
are you changing the narrative?
Before we go on, I want to know.
I'm a very smart man too, you know that, right?
I never brought the smart man stuff up. I don't have condescension. It's not a loaded question. Are you going to refuse service, yes or no? Are you going to refuse service, yes or no?
So what I'm saying, why
Are you going to refuse service? Yeah, it's not aggressive. It's assertive. It's assertive.
You're a veteran.
It's
I said-
assertive.
I said thank you for your
It's
services.
assertive,
And
sir.
you still, again, be aggressive.
Because I don't want to go into these type of conversations. I just want to get to the
I don't
point.
understand it. I'm not being aggressive.
Understand.
I'm being aggressive.
Understand the
I'm being
question.
aggressive.
It's not aggressive, sir. That's a framing. That's a framing thing. That's okay. Are you going to refuse service if I come here?
I am close. Yep.
Are you going to refuse service if I come here without a face covering? The same question I asked you before. Yes or no? State it for the record.
So I'm going to
State it for the record. Yes or no, sir?
You said to me that
I will be in contact with the post. I will be in contact with the postmaster. I will be in contact with Federal Protective Services. I just want you to answer the question. It's not aggressive. It's assertive.
I asked you a question.
It's assertive.
You said you will talk to me. You're not talking to me. You're speaking.
You're wasting my time.
I'm a supervisor. This is
It doesn't matter. This is federal. This is federal. It doesn't matter if you're a supervisor. You're not exerting power over me, sir. Sir, you're not exerting power over me.
It doesn't matter that you're.
You're not exerting power over me. You're a public servant.
Okay, my office is closed.
Are you a public servant?
Please leave.
You're a public servant.
So I can close my building. Could you please leave?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. I will be in contact.
Please leave.
I will be in contact with the
Can you
post.
please leave?
I will be in
Thank you.
contact with the postal
Please.
master.
Please.
I will be in contact with Federal Protective Service.
Thank you for stopping.
You're in big trouble.
Great day.
You're in big trouble. You're in big trouble.
Useless eaters. As your unqualified, non-elected global human health overlord, I'd like to take this opportunity to flaunt my position of power and influence over society and share some of my plans for you and your future. When I amassed my fortune in computer software, I demonstrated that I was willing to lie, steal code, cheat my partners, and exercise monopolistic control to destroy my competitors. Now that I've retired, I can rebrand myself as a humanitarian. With my for-profit foundation masquerading as a charity, I can advocate for population reduction and sponsor mass human experiments with unproven vaccines in vulnerable populations. Like my father, a powerful banker, eugenicist, and Rockefeller crony himself, it's always been my ambition to decide who lives and, more importantly, how many have to die. Whether it's under the guise of climate change or world health, it's really all about controlling and culling the human herd for fun and profit. In November of last year, I hosted Event 201, a war game simulation of a global pandemic. Leaders from private corporations, global banks, governments, and the media got together to strategize ways they could align in lockstep when responding to a worldwide health crisis. Using a coordinated campaign of fear-mongering, intimidation, social shaming, and economic blackmail, we realized that we could get around dangerous philosophies like individual liberty and national sovereignty. With an obedient population, we would be free to implement our own top-down solutions, like forced quarantines, social distancing, contact tracing, and mandatory testing, as a means to seize technocratic control of society. Now imagine my excitement when we had the opportunity to declare our own global pandemic. It was my chance to look like the Nostradamus of public health and to position myself and business partners like Dr. Fauci as the de facto authorities on response and solutions. Through exaggerated doomsday scenarios and computer simulations, our petty control freaks instituted harsh rules and draconian lockdowns. Even after our dire predictions proved false, scared and well-meaning people continued to submit to the arbitrary and foolish demands of their so-called leaders. Having achieved global lockdown and medical martial law, we will continue to hold hostage your ability to congregate, work, travel, or do just about anything until we're prepared to roll out our bigger plan. I'd like to call this Pandemic 1, because believe me, we have others in the works. Our final solution is to have you begging for us to vaccinate, tag, and digitally track each one of you like livestock. Not only will my foundation enjoy legal immunity and trillions in profits, but these mandatory experimental vaccines will move us so much further down the road to absolute centralized global control. If only my good friend Jeffrey Epstein had been here to celebrate with me aboard the Lolita Express. So remember, global citizens, this will end when I say it ends. Could be a year, maybe 2 years, maybe never. I guarantee that if we have our way, it will be at least until you're not able to do anything to stop it. Just surrender your personal freedom and common sense to our fear merchants in government and the media, because none of this works unless you all go along with it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to do some augmented reality spirit cooking with Marina Abramovich. Bye now.
Excuse me, is it still really bad in the hospitals? It's much better. I notice other places, all the nurses are back home.
We're headed there soon. About 2 more weeks.
But the hospitals are much better.
Oh yeah, they're better.
Have a good day. Thanks for all you do. Is everything over in the hospital? Is everything much better?
Yes.
No more patients? No more COVID patients?
No.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
How we doing, all right?
All right, how are you? What's going on?
You're out here every day, you get home safe or something?
Yep. What was the whole purpose? What was the whole purpose
Of what?
of this?
I don't really know. I believe they treated patients.
Have you seen any?
If you're looking for a conspiracy theory, you're looking in the wrong place. That was what they were here for.
Why did you bring up conspiracy theory?
Because you're saying, have I seen it?
Yes, that's a straightforward question.
They were treating patients. That's what it is, you know?
But you haven't seen any.
I never said that.
It's funny how you brought up conspiracy theory.
isolate the virus. And therefore, actually, hey, here's the virus. I mean, we've seen all these computer animations and pictures of it, but actually seeing this is the virus, this is what it looks like, right? So now you've been keeping up on this throughout this pandemic, and I assume, and so if that's the case, if they haven't been able to isolate the virus, then how are they able to determine that there's, we've heard 2 dozen different strains, or how many different strains of COVID going around? How are they able to determine that if they haven't been able to isolate the virus?
Yeah, well, basically what they've been doing is repeating the same procedure that I described earlier. So they still haven't done anything different to demonstrate that they can purify and isolate a virus.
Interesting information, and one of them I want to highlight here is from the New England Journal of Medicine, and it's the second paragraph here, and it says, "We know that wearing a mask outside healthcare facilities offers little, if any, protection from infection. Public health authorities define a significant exposure to COVID-19 as a face-to-face contact within 6 feet with a patient with symptomatic COVID-19 that is sustained for at least a few minutes, some say up to 10 minutes or even 30 minutes. The chance of catching COVID from a passing interaction in public space is therefore minimal. In many cases, the desire for widespread masking is a reflexive reaction to anxiety over the pandemic." And of course, that's all we've been seeing and hearing from the media, for example, who has been spreading fear about this. Every day we're hearing about the numbers going up, and now we're getting masks mandated. So, I mean, why are they mandating these masks? Is it just that the politicians don't know what to do, so they want to make it look like they're doing something proactive here? Or is there something else? They're conditioning us for, the next phase, which would be mandatory testing, or potentially the mandatory vaccine, which we discussed previously?
Well, yeah, there certainly is a series of things that they want our cooperation with, and the more we cooperate with each step, I think it's an indication that we'll cooperate with the next step. So I think that is part of it. But masks, I think, there's more to it, because it keeps people separate from each other. You can't have a conversation with someone. I mean, I was, trying to pick up some takeout for my kids the other night, and the person behind the counter was wearing a mask and trying to talk to me, and it just sounded all garbled. I couldn't really understand him at all. So it's a major barrier. You can't read facial expressions. You can't speak really. So it keeps us apart, just like social distancing does. It also increases the risk of illness because, and there are many studies that show this, by the way, it decreases the amount of oxygen in your blood. And in addition to the scientific studies, you have lots of groups of nurses that have recorded little videos where they check their pulse ox while they're wearing the mask, and it drops down into the level that if they were a patient, they would be put on oxygen. So it also violates OSHA's safety standards. So they've done testing with oxygen sensors between your mouth and the mask, and it drops down to about 19% or below, and 19.5% oxygen is the low cutoff for safety for workers. So actually, according to that, anyone who is supposedly required to wear this to work, every law or guidance that I've seen always has an exception for OSHA standards. So you can basically use that to get an exemption from wearing a mask at your job. And then also, despite the rhetoric in the mainstream media and even many politicians, announcing that it's mandatory, if you actually go on the right government website that has the authority to do that, you'll see that it's not actually mandatory. And I'll give you an example that from New York, because I just looked into this yesterday. This is the time. It's not time to wait. This is the time to stand up, because as you can see, more and more of our freedoms are being taken away.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, on that, because things are only escalating on a daily basis, and right now they're trying to soften us up by telling us that we have to wear masks, when you just clearly pointed out that no, based on everything you just told me, and I have seen the OSHA standards that you were talking about with the 19.5% oxygen and below is considered dangerous, and dangerous environment. So based on everything that you just said right there, they don't have a foot to stand on as far as forcing you to wear a mask to keep your job. As they're trying to essentially, it's like a form of blackmail or ransom. They want to hold you ransom. Hey, you have to do this, or you won't be able to get a job, keep a job, pay your bills, feed your family. And that's where we see this going, I think, ultimately, when we start looking ahead in the very near future as this vaccine starts to roll out, because they've been talking about the health passports, the digital IDs, everything like that, you not being able to travel or work or anything unless you comply with the system. To me, this is a form of ransom and blackmail.
And for employees working with the public, that are both, there's an executive order for both of them requiring mask wearing. But actually, the governor doesn't have authority over individual people. So in other words, if the governor says an order to you, they can't give you an order. The only thing they can do is give an order to a government agency. And in most states, it would be the agency would be the Department of Health. So on the Department of Health website in New York State, they have one page for each of these executive orders, one for employees and one for private people. And it's basically a guidance on how to follow that order. And in both situations, it uses the term guidance, which means a recommendation, not a mandate. And in both, it says that if it makes a medical condition worse or causes a problem to your health, you don't have to wear it. So you don't need to go any further than that to see that it's actually not mandated in any place that I've looked so far. So I would encourage people that don't want to wear that to actually just take a look. And then one thing further it says in New York is that any employer or any authority is not allowed to ask you for your specific medical reason why you can't wear it, because that's private information, governed by federal law. So you don't have to say a thing except, that you're not wearing it, and, it might not be a bad idea to print out a copy of that page so you can show someone the text if they really give you a hard time, but they really have no leg to stand on if they try to bully you into wearing a mask.
That's very important information because that's exactly what it seems. I would say bullying is accurate, and using fear tactics. I've seen in the past how the CDC has a brochure. Basically, it's like a guide on how to foster demand for vaccines, and they are talking about using fear-based tactics to get the media and other politicians and people to try to scare people into believing that there is a need to foster that demand for a vaccine. And so, again, this is what we're seeing take place all around us. This is a lot of information out there going both ways, and I just want to get your take on this. Dr. Andrew Kaufman, very informative as always, and it's very interesting. I didn't know that you were let go from your job because you refused to wear a mask. And basically, that just happened to my father as well. He was told by his employer, and he does not work in any sort of a customer service related or healthcare related job. He doesn't interact with the public at all, in fact, with his job. And they came out and said that you have to wear your masks, and he said no, and he walked out. He basically walked out of protest. And so, we're seeing a lot of this. Unfortunately, I think not many people are willing to do that. I don't think that many people are in the position to do that, frankly, neither as my father or anything like that. But I mean, imagine if people did that in mass. If everyone said no, we're not going to follow this ridiculous, these mandates or suggestions or guidance. It's just people are. It seems like they've been trained pretty well incrementally to just go along with what they're being told by authorities at this point.
Absolutely, Spiro. And I took a risk too because I have a family to support, and I didn't really have an immediate backup plan. And any other doctor job would also require me to wear a mask. But I did have legal recourse. I mean, I was in the right legally, and but I chose not to go that route because I wanted to move on into something better. But I would say to people out there, two things. One is that you actually can't really be successfully fired. You should just say that you want to call the OSHA compliance officer, and that should probably shut them up temporarily until they at least look into it and see that you're in the right about that you cannot be compelled to wear the mask in order to keep your job because it's a safety issue for you. Because it's unsafe to wear a mask, and it's even more unsafe if you're doing any kind of demanding physical labor. So, and then my estimation, this is the time. It's not time to wait. This is the time to stand up because, as you can see, more and more of our freedoms are being taken away. And if we don't stand up, it's going to just continue.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Andrew Kaufman.
Very much. At my direction, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is issuing guidance for communities of faith. I want to thank Dr. Redfield and the CDC for their work on this matter and all the other work they've been doing over the past, what now seems like a long period of time. Today I'm identifying houses of worship, churches, synagogue, and mosques as essential places that provide essential services. Some governors have deemed the liquor stores and abortion clinics as essential, but have left out churches and other houses of worship. It's not right. So I'm correcting this injustice and calling houses of worship essential. I call upon governors to allow our churches and places of worship to open right now. If there's any question, they're going to have to call me, but they're not going to be successful in that call. These are places that hold our society together and keep our people united. The people are demanding to go to church and synagogue, go to their mosque. Many millions of Americans embrace worship as an essential part of life. The ministers, pastors, rabbis, imams, and other faith leaders will make sure that their congregations are safe as they gather and pray. I know them well. They love their congregations. They love their people. They don't want anything bad to happen to them or to anybody else. The governors need to do the right thing and allow these very important essential places of faith to open right now for this weekend. If they don't do it, I will override the governors. In America, we need more prayer, not less. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Making new law that Californians have to wear a mask. Please go back and watch part 1 where I explain that no governor has any legal authority to compel you to do anything. Laws are what compel you to do things, and a governor cannot make a law. No, a governor can only oversee agencies and departments. He can sign bills into law, and he can set budgets, and he can spend money, but he does not make law. The first thing I'd like to show you is an LA Times story. Good old LA Times. They're still at it. And this actually is, we're going to look at this story, and it says everything you need to know about California mandatory mask rules. Well, first of all, they're not mandatory, and they're also not rules. I'm going to show you why. It says that, I couldn't even write this myself if I tried. June 19th, that was yesterday. Mask wearing in many public places is now the law of the land, thanks to action by Governor Gavin Newsom this week. Now, they have a link, which is titled Action by Governor Gavin Newsom. So let's see what the action by Governor Gavin Newsom is, shall we? Let's click through. And, oh, it takes us to another LA Times article. It doesn't take us to the action of the governor. So let's see. Californians must wear face masks in public under the new order issued by Newsom. Well, I already blew apart that Newsom did not issue any order. At least that was public. If he did, it can't be found. So let's look. Of course, we have the owl symbolism. Some of you will know more about that. And Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday ordered all Californians to wear face coverings. No, he didn't. No governor can order you to do anything. You feel of a mind to make your voice known. Let's see where we can do that. I'm going to share the screen once more. And you could actually contact this person right here. And this is the public health officer who was appointed by Newsom very recently, fresh off the job from the CDC. And I believe she might have worked in infectious diseases. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look that up. If you look that up, you can let me know. This is a good person to contact and say, would you clarify for me, please? Where is the law that carries force? I don't see it in your June 18th guidance. Where is the applicable law, and what is the penalty if I don't follow it? That's what I'd love to hear the answer. Now, why don't we go and email Phil and Hannah and Luke? That would be good, because all of these people, this was one of the first stories that came to my attention. So this is a lie, and this is a lie. It's not an order, and this is a lie. And when they give a link to his order, it doesn't go to the order. It goes to the public health department. So they need to say the public health department issued guidelines. You see, they may not have, maybe they did go to public schools. I don't know. That's not for me to say. But somehow they don't have a grasp of the English language, which is unfortunate because they write for a newspaper. But we'll just help them. So you could find out where to email these people, and let's see if they even give us that opportunity. Oh, wait a minute. Is the LA Times already going to be carrying these meals for the hungry? I actually have worked in food pantries. It's a very noble cause. I'm glad to see him doing that. Now, Phil, let's see if Phil has any more integrity than the others, shall we? Phil says Gavin Newsom urged, urged is different than ordered. Did he urge or did he order? LA Times, you've got articles saying both. Oh, heed. Heed is not a requirement. It's like asking. Now let's see if this gives us the order by Newsom, requiring most residents. Well, you know what, LA Times, you're getting warmer. Let's see. Oh, it takes us to another LA Times story. How very convenient. I probably am going to get kicked off the LA Times because I do not subscribe and I don't pay for it. And they're going to tell me I reached my limit of articles. It takes us back to this beautiful, very horrible symbolism, which many people have covered. You can find some YouTubers that are experts. Just say that the sound an owl makes is who, like the WHO. All right. It actually takes us to another story by Phil. We don't want to see that, Phil. We wanted to see some data. Wow. Phil, when am I going to have to email you too? Because you're making some mistakes here, my friend. Now, urged is better. Heed is better. They can exercise a little bit of persuasion. You know what, you guys? You healthy Americans are awesome. I must have the most educated, engaged, erudite audience in the YouTube atmosphere because you have been sending these videos, the word is getting out, and the LA Times is already walking it back. So they've gone from you are required It's a new law. Let's see, I had one of the LA Times stories say it's a new law. And now they said, well, you're being urged to be persuaded. So here we go. OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health. They, my friends, OSHA is our ally. They do not want lawsuits. They do not want these companies and these employees to start getting into all these legal battles. OSHA is required for workplace safety. Oh, here we go. Holy smokes, I think my job is done. Thanks to you for sharing the information and educating people. Look at what our Newsom said. We are not looking to fine people. We are looking to educate people, to encourage people. Which is it? Is it a law or is it an encouragement? Now, I want to bring this full circle. So, a police officer cannot write you a ticket if he just thinks it's a good idea. He can't write you a ticket if he wants to urge you to follow a non-existent law. Let's look at this. I want to finish here.